All right,
All
well,
right,
I'm gonna let the Rainforest team in.
I'm so jealous. I'm just gonna hang out here until they're in, or because I
Sure.
kind of
I
want
mean,
to
they're gonna think
see.
you're in the rainforest if they look at your background.
Well, this is they're my inspiration. I've got
Urban
to like
rainforest.
keep up with this.
Yeah. All right. Let's get them in. Fingers crossed that we see people in a tree.
All right. There are people in a tree.
There are people in a tree. That's promising.
And that's all I wanted to see is there are people in a tree. So I will let you take over from here. And Andy's coming in.
Andy,
Hey
how are
guys.
you?
Hey, how you doing, Joe?
Good. Andy, can your orientation sideways for me? You might have the screen lock on.
Oh, hang on. I've got
Yeah,
the
no worries.
screen lock. There we go.
Technical difficulties in the treetops.
Yeah, we've mastered it now.
All right, I love it. Well, Andy, it is so good to see you. I'm so glad the weather is held for this event. Andy, the last few days have just been incredible. We broadcast for 13 hours straight yesterday. We're going for about 8.5 hours today, and this is a treat. I think I see someone coming up behind you.
Great. Yeah, that's Arianna. She's making her way up now. So hopefully she'll be joining us in a few minutes. But I hope you're getting some sleep and food in the middle of this, Joe.
You know what? I'll sleep on Sunday night. I can make it. I do want to give you a nice little introduction here. So Arianna Basto is making her way up. We've got Andy Whitworth as well. They're high above the rainforest, in the canopy above the floor. They're hanging out in their harnesses. So Arianna is a wildlife monitoring technician with Osa Conservation, and Andy is the wildlife conservationist, and he's a National Geographic Explorer and the director of the ecological restoration and biodiversity at Osa Conservation. And here we go. I see Arianna joining us.
Hello.
Hi, Arianna.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How was the climb?
It was good. It's always fun to climb trees.
Absolutely. So I do want to give a shout out, Andy. Right now, we have people tuning in live in the US, in the UK, Singapore, Canada, Costa Rica, Kenya, Mexico, Norway, Poland, Portugal, and that's just scraping the surface. We have a great international group that's hanging out with you guys while you hang out.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, Andy, take it away for a couple of minutes. What is going on?
Okay, yeah, Joe. So something a little bit different this time for you. So we are up in the canopy, but we got a slightly different project that we're working on today. We are going to be working with camera traps. You can see Arianna's going to be taking down a camera trap and setting up a new one here. But I'm going to tell you first a little bit about why, and then Arianna's going to tell you a little bit about how we use the camera traps. So I don't know if you can see this. So just here, you can see right below me is a road. So there's a huge clearing running through this rainforest. I'm not sure if you can see that. The road disappears off down there behind me. And what we've got here, we're trialing different methods and techniques, but here is a very simple, cheap bridge that we've put in that connects the tree that we're in here on this side of the road with the tree on the other side of the road. So we're looking at ways and techniques of how we can help animals in the rainforest canopy move around when we make clearings like roads for people to get around. So what we've done is we're installing different types of bridges that animals can use, and then we're monitoring how they use those in their activity, like how long does it take them to find these bridges, and which types of species, which types of animals will actually use them. So that's what Arianna's working on. She's taking down a camera trap that we've had up. The batteries need replacing and changing, and then we're going to swap it out for a new camera. And some of these cameras that we're using, we actually have the footage going up on a project called Instant Wild. So you guys can actually join the program and you can go in on Instant Wild and you can help us identify animals coming through on the camera traps. So some of the camera traps have a special cell-enabled technology where they can send the images straight up into the cloud, and then you guys can get involved and help us and go online and identify the different species. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of flip around, and Arianna is going to talk to us about the camera traps, quickly how they work and how we're using them in this project. So I'm going to turn the screen around, if that's all right, Joe, and hopefully we can see Arianna, and she's going to talk us through what she's doing now.
So
We
hi
see
guys,
it.
again, this is a camera trap. This change the way we do research. It allows you to monitor animals that otherwise wouldn't see because they are very secretive, and they will run if we come by. So what I will do is set these cameras in. You can set them in video or photo, and they're quite cheap. You can just get it online and put one in your backyard if you want to find out what wildlife you have. And what I'm gonna be doing is set this up in this trunk facing the bridge that Andy was mentioning to try to capture the wildlife that it's gonna cross this bridge. This bridge is over a small road, and we are testing it so we can later take it to bigger roads that are less connected, like the forests are less connected along them. And we will try to help the arboreal wildlife, which is not very well known, and only in recent years has been started to study.
Okay, super. So whilst Arianna's now starting to set up the camera here, just to give you guys an insight into what kind of animals we might be expecting and really wanting to use these bridges. So there's a few endangered species here, Joe, like the endangered spider monkey. There's a species of squirrel monkey that's also endangered. And then there's some really secretive, weird things that live in rainforest canopies that we know very little about. So like kinkajous are these incredible animals that move around at nighttime up in the canopy. And there's porcupines that live up in the rainforest canopy with prehensile tails. And we know very little about those animals as well. And of course, the really famous ones from Costa Rica up here are the sloths as well. So hopefully these bridges are going to help reconnect populations of these animals that otherwise would be fragmented, and they might be trapped in one patch of forest and disconnected from another area. So we're trying to help rebuild those corridors, those movements for these animals. And it's really important because a lot of the time when we do research or we're working, we typically think about wildlife on the ground. So these camera traps traditionally have just been used on the rainforest floor. But what we do know is that it's estimated that over half of all of the biodiversity in a rainforest actually exists off the ground and up in the rainforest canopy in the trees. And so that's why it's really important to understand rainforest canopies, to know how we can help the wildlife that lives within those canopies. And so that's what this project is all about.
Yeah, very cool, Andy. A great way to help wildlife, with these roadways, disconnecting that highway they have above, right? They usually have that highway in the sky that they can move through. This could be a really great way to help them move through that environment. Last thing you want to see is a sloth trying to cross the road.
Exactly. And I've seen that myself firsthand, Joe. I was driving through the peninsula a few months ago in a storm, a little bit like yesterday, very grey. I came around the corner and there was I thought somebody had dropped a bag in the middle of the road, and it was a sloth just crawling its way across the road. And you do see it a lot. You see a lot of wildlife. We see it back home, right, that gets hit on roadsides. And so what we need to do is think about ways that we can help those animals to avoid putting themselves at risk in those dangerous situations. So a simple project like this one, if it works, can be a great way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andy, tell us a little bit more about the Osa Peninsula. It's one of the most biologically intense places on the planet. Can you tell us a little bit about that biodiversity?
Absolutely. I mean, it's Costa Rica's always had that fame as being a real leader in conservation and nature and protecting its environment. But for me, the Osa Peninsula is really the crown jewel of Costa Rica's biodiversity. So if you want to see good wildlife, great wildlife, and tropical rainforest with enormous trees, the Osa Peninsula is the place to do that. It's a tiny area on the South Pacific of the country, but it's just got so many ecosystems that are connected to one another. So there's like ecotones between them. So you've got the riparian watersheds, the forest, and those rivers flood out into the mangroves. One of the biggest mangroves in Central America is down here, the Torraba del Sierpe, and also one of the only tropical fjords in the world. So that's basically the body of water in between the peninsula and the mainland, and it's incredible for the marine life. There are hammerhead sharks that you get in the Galapagos Islands and Cocos Island that come all the way to the Osa Peninsula to breed and pup in the Gulf of Dulce. It's just unbelievable. There's a yellow sea snake, a bright yellow sea snake that lives in the Gulf of Dulce, and it's the only place on Earth that you can see that snake. And that's the same for the forest here. There's trees, there's a species of poison dart frog, and so we call that endemism, where it's the only place that certain species can be found. And the Osa Peninsula is famous for its high levels of endemism, as well as its incredible number of species that you can find in a tiny area.
Amazing. And that's why the work that you're doing with Osa Conservation is so important, to protect these areas, these islands, these strongholds for biodiversity. So a big thing that we're doing over the course of this festival, it's free for anybody to join in from anywhere in the world for these events, but we are trying to raise some money for some conservation organizations, and Osa Conservation is one of those. So if you like what you're seeing right now, you like the work you're seeing Arianna and Andy doing, on our website, globalbiofest.com, you can find a GoFundMe page. You can also find a direct link to donate money to the organization. So we're going to share the money with our organizations. And if you want to go to Osa Conservation directly, you can make a direct donation there. Andy, we had a little field trip a couple weeks ago to the field station, the biological field station. It was incredible. Can you tell us about a couple other projects you have on the go?
Absolutely. And yeah, the field station is a real hub of exciting activity with lots of young people from all over the world. So kind of like the people tuning in. We've got Arianna's from Peru. I'm from England. We've got lots of Costa Ricans on the team. We have people from Mexico, from the US, and they come from all over the world because they've got one thing in common, and it's that they love nature. They love wildlife, and they want to conserve it. They want to understand it. So they love to do research, but they want to protect it. And we work with some amazing communities here as well. So, you know, we do some work with sea turtle conservation. We have a very dedicated team that walk up and down the beaches every single day, relocating sea turtle nests that might be at danger from being poached or eaten by wildlife like raccoons and coatis. We've got a team that works. We're going to hear from tomorrow, Joe. We're going to be going and seeing the botanics team. And those guys are doing amazing work, working with communities and people to restore rainforests. So they're collecting seeds from the ancient primary forest. They have to climb the trees just like we're doing today, collect the fruits and the seeds, and then grow them in the nursery. And we're going to see some of that work tomorrow. And then the other team I want to give a shout out to is we have a really passionate team that works with communities and people here in the Osa. And there's a phenomenal group here on the peninsula in a community called Rancho Quemado. And that community has done some incredible work towards trying to save a really key species here on the peninsula called the white-lipped peccary, which are these huge pigs that go around in enormous herds. You can get hundreds of them. And it's the main prey for the jaguar. So this community has done some incredible work to keep them safe on their migrations and try and keep them safe from hunters. And they're a very inspirational group of people that we work with.
Absolutely, no question. You know, when we had our last connection, you shared with us a wild image of a jaguar coming up to a camera trap on the ground and kind of biting at the camera trap. Is there anything you've caught up above the ground in the canopy that's taken you aback or made you laugh or just surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, there's it's interesting. You really understand who the curious animals are. So like you mentioned, the jaguar on the ground. In the trees, it's definitely the capuchin monkeys. So capuchins are probably the most intelligent primate in the world. And they're super inquisitive. So they come up to the cameras and they're like tapping on the lens and they'll like try and bite them. And what Arianna's working on here right now, she has to work really hard using a ratchet strap to get that camera tight to the tree, and then use some sticks to really wedge it, because the capuchins are gonna grab hold of that and shake it and move it around. But also the other animal that I mentioned to you earlier, the kinkajou, the nocturnal animal, they're super inquisitive. So they, again, will go up to the cameras and sniff and play and bite and just have fun with them.
All right. Very cool. So how's Arianna doing over there? Looks like she's getting it nice and snug.
Yeah, how are you doing there, Arianna?
It's almost done. I'm just making sure that no capuchins can take down that camera. And we get like a lot of footage here.
So explain the camera to us, Arianna. Like, what's all those things on the front of the camera, and how does it work?
So here you have the camera itself that's gonna take the photos.
The lens.
The lens. You have the motion sensor that is gonna get activated if something passes by the camera, and then these cameras also can record at night. So this is the infrared that is gonna allow the camera to do that.
Cool.
All right.
So we've now got we'll play around. We'll check that it's got an SD card in there, and the batteries in that camera should last around 6 months if we want. But we'll kind of come and check it every 2 or 3 months or so, Joe.
Yeah, makes sense. With that trap, the one you've just set up, is that going to be motion triggered for an image or motion triggered for video?
We're probably going to use video, right?
Yeah, it has 20-second videos. So it allows us to get a nice footage of the monkeys or whatever body out animal it's crossing past. So I mean, if we get any cool things, we can share it with you later.
All right, absolutely. We'd love that. Andy, where's a good place where people can go to follow along with some of the projects, some of the adventures, some of the things you guys are up to at the station?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on social media. We're very active on Instagram. As Osa Conservation. I'm also Andy Rainforest on there as well. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're always posting new and exciting things, videos, stories that are happening, and we also post a bunch of blogs on our website as well. And like I said, if you want to get involved in the projects remotely as well, you can go to Instant Wild. We have a big project working with iNaturalist. So I think iNaturalist is an awesome phenomenon to get people engaged in wildlife all over the world and nature. And we have a project down here called the Osa Biodiversity Survey, and that will be going live in the coming weeks as well. So there are a bunch of ways you can get involved. And then hopefully when things settle down, Joe, a little bit, and it's safe to travel, the station hopefully will be opening in the future. And we'd love to see some people down here with us at the station, and you can come and stay with us and volunteer and go and work with the team in the field.
That's amazing. I 100% plan on doing that, checking out the biodiversity, but also diving with those hammerheads. That's and you had an experience too. You joined the Pristine Seas team. We talked to Enrique Sala yesterday. We're going to talk to Enrique and Paul tonight about Pristine Seas as well, and kind of like a wrap up for the day. You got to leave the rainforest and check out the ocean environment. How was that?
That was incredible. So you know what, little story here, like a dream come true. When I was a young student at university, I went to the Royal Geographical Society, and I saw Paul talking about his explorations and expeditions, and I was like sat there with my mouth open. And then when I spoke to Enrique and we were going to do the expedition out here in Costa Rica, he told me that Paul was going to be on the expedition, and I was like starstruck. So I got to spend 8 days with Paul on the boat, and we were out doing the deep ocean stuff. So way out there off the coast of the peninsula here, and it was phenomenal. When we were in the water there, I couldn't believe the little animals, like the mini marine life, the flashing lights and all of the things. It was like a soup of aliens. And then we'd come home in the afternoons as the sun was going down back to the main ship, and the spinner dolphins were out of this world. I've never seen anything like it. Just hundreds and hundreds of dolphins launching themselves out of the ocean, doing these 360-degree somersaults. It was mind-blowing.
Amazing, Andy. I can see why you came to the Osa Peninsula in Costa Rica and never left. I mean, it just looks This is an incredible place on the planet. Thank goodness it's, groups like Conservation or Osa Conservation are doing so much work to protect it. And again, a reminder, head over to our website. There's a GoFundMe page. There's a direct link. Donate so that we can share some money with the amazing conservation groups we're working with to help them do the work that they're doing now, because it is so vitally important to protect our biodiversity. Without it, we just won't survive. We need our biodiversity. Andy, amazing. Arianna, thank you so much. I can't wait to see the results of this project, how quickly they find the route and whether it's used heavily. Really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, we're excited to find out soon too. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Yeah,
well, I will. Thank you so much. I will let the two of you get back down to the ground, and I look forward to visiting again tomorrow. And in fact, are you going down for us right now?
I'm going down. Yeah, Arianna can finish the job. I need a rest.
All right, here we go. You have been hanging around for a while, and we greatly appreciate it.
No worries. In fact, I'm going to grab a couple of these fruits.
There you go, a little snack. That's what biodiversity does for us. It provides, right?
It does, Joe. There's so many things still to discover in the rainforest here. I'd urge anybody who wants to explore and set up projects, visit a rainforest firsthand, and you'll just see how special and incredible they really are.
Absolutely amazing. We see you getting close.
Yeah.
What did you snag, Andy? What kind of fruit is that?
That's a good question. I don't know. So I'm going to take it to the botanics team. It looks like an ancient. It looks like it's related to some kind of tree fern, but it's not. But I think it's some kind of ancient prehistoric thing, probably from like the Cretaceous or something. So I'm going to take it. Hopefully, Ruth and Marvin, who you'll meet tomorrow, might have an answer for you.
Ooh, a little kind of a segue, a little cliffhanger. Tune in tomorrow to find out what we've got.
Yeah, exactly. All right. All right, I might have to. There we go. There we go. Oh, multitasking, Joe.
Yeah. You are a pro with the selfie stick up in the can. Not a lot of people can do this, Andy.
There we go. Right, now I'm getting down into the real understory. So I'm gonna like pass through all these trees on the ground. This is when you get stung by ants and wasps.
The hazards of the job.
There we go. Solid ground.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So you can see how high Arianna is. She's up there somewhere.
Oh yeah, it disappears through the understory.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Awesome. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks so much. Great to see you. We'll see you tomorrow.